Coming up on County Connection. Reading books gets a little rough at one of our county libraries. Watch Surf Dog Teddy help out at story time. And we go back in time to when San Diego had stars in its eyes. This historic event is being remembered with the help of the county's Department of Public Works. Speaking of history, our parks are full of it. Learn how Otay Lakes County Park came into existence and which building has historical significance. First, though, a foreign fruit fly has been found in the county, and it's threatening some of our favorite fruits. We're looking at you, avocados. Here's how we're keeping those pests in check.
This little guy can be a really big pest. It's a Mexican fruit fly, and it first became a problem for Mexico in the early 1900s.
And it first became a problem in California in the 1950s.
Tracy Ellis knows pests. She's the county's entomologist and a lifelong bug enthusiast.
I think that it all came about when I was a small child and my grandmother was baking or cooking, and I was on the kitchen floor and she found insects in every single thing that was brought into the kitchen and would show me as we went.
The Mexican fruit fly makes its way to California every year.
Being introduced by people bringing in contaminated produce from Mexico and other regions and having to be eradicated, just like our current population in Encinitas is now having to be eradicated.
And how do you stay ahead of infestations? You have a pest detection program in place.
The pest detection program picked up fruit flies in Encinitas in the end of November in a couple of their McPhail traps, which are the glass traps that attract fruit flies. And before we knew it, we had 7 fruit flies within a certain little area in Encinitas. And that's what triggered the quarantine.
The county works with the state to eradicate any local exotic pests before they harm our local agriculture. The state steps in and sets up the quarantine area, and along with releasing sterile flies, checks traps daily.
So I'm looking for the glass McPhail trap right now in the trees.
Those exotic pests have to be found first, and that's where Linda Feely comes in.
I'm part of the pest detection program in San Diego County, looking for exotic pests that the state of California tell us they want us to target.
They're looking for the Mexican fruit fly, Mediterranean fruit fly,
Melon fruit fly, Oriental fruit flies, and light brown apple moth.
Before chasing down exotic pests, Linda was a Navy helicopter mechanic.
The coolest thing to me was seeing the 5 helicopters flying in formation over El Cajon for a Mexican fruit fly infestation in 1989. I wanted to work on those helicopters, and by chance, the only thing they were hiring for was to release the sterile Mexican fruit flies.
She and her fellow pest detectors set 5 sets of traps for every square mile in residential areas.
We do not trap outside in the rural areas, but the state of California does.
And when the state does set a quarantine area,
Any quarantine against fruit flies has to last 3 generations of the fruit fly before we're declared fruit fly free. And it has to be 3 generations without finding another fly.
This program helps ensure that when you go to the grocery store, you don't have to cut open all of the fruit to make sure you're not eating maggots. There are some countries that it's acceptable. Here in the United States, we really don't like doing that.
If you're interested in having traps placed on your property, you can call 1-800-300-TRAP or 858-614-7770. Now, this deputy and dog duo are the exact opposite of pests. They aren't just partners in crime fighting, they're partners in story time.
My only friend in the whole world is Boo Boo Butt. Today we're here at the Spring Valley Library and we're going to read a book to the children. My name is Daniel Slopey. I'm a sheriff deputy. I'm a corporal over at the Rancho San Diego Station. This is Teddy. Teddy is a 4-year-old golden retriever poodle. He's what they call a golden doodle. Teddy's a therapy dog, and I did all the training myself. He's really an exceptional dog. But one of his best features really is he's a people person dog. He loves people, he loves kids. That's all his job is to do, is to make you smile. That makes him great for the work that he does. What am I?
A sheriff.
A sheriff, right? They like to go over what I do and all the little gadgets and gadgets on my uniform. but then they really do like to see Teddy, and we do a couple little tricks. Watch this, Teddy, sneeze, sneeze. Read a book, and the kids really enjoy it. So I guess my head is made of blueberry pizza. When I take Teddy into an area or somewhere, if I just went in there in uniform by myself, you might get a couple people coming up, or the kids, they would stare at you from a ways. But when you have the dog, it's an instant connection that between you and the public. All right. Blarf. It's something different, and it's a whole new mindset. This position really it's not for everybody. Not everybody can go out there and hug people, but Teddy sure can. Give a bow. A bow. There you go.
Teddy and Deputy Slopey also visit hospitals together and even the Special Olympics, bringing lots of joy wherever they go. Speaking of going out on the road, the County Department of Public Works is working on memorializing this Highway to the Stars.
There's a crowd gathered here for an unveiling.
I think it's different, it's definitely exciting.
It says Highway to the Stars, and that's exactly what this road through Valley Center here used to be called.
These are custom guide signs. They inform the drivers of any upcoming community features that otherwise the driver will not be aware of.
Well, back more than 70 years,
Palomar Mountain had been selected years previously after many observations as an ideal site for a telescope.
yes, but look at the road to get up to the dome at Mount Palomar. Twisting, turning. Now imagine trying to get the most valuable piece of glass in history, something planned for and worked on for years. The centerpiece of the Palomar telescope, its giant 200-inch reflecting mirror, getting it up this road.
And the 2 days required to move the mirror were only scheduled after the weatherman had promised ideal California sunshine.
It was a hold your breath, anything can happen kind of an adventure, plus it was raining.
Finally, after years of patient effort, the heart of the telescope is pulled safely into the shelter of the huge protecting dome.
It might be hard for us to appreciate today what a big deal this telescope was. How crowds came out to see the mirror go by. How everybody who lived or worked along the route identified with the pride of this scientific accomplishment. So much so, they started calling it the Highway to the Stars. If you were going up to see the telescope, you saw signs reminding you that you were on the Highway to the Stars. The county is working with the Valley Center History Museum, Historical Society, and Community Planning Group to revive that old name.
We don't normally decide what they look like, the signs, but we get a lot of input from the local community planning group and get their advice on that. And then we run this to the Board of Supervisors to make sure that the final design is okay.
Today, these signs are coming back. They've placed new signs along the route.
Towards the end, once the signs are actually up in the field, that was just an amazing feeling.
So the next time you're driving up to Palomar Mountain, you'll know the history as you see this renewed tribute to the Highway to the Stars.
And if you're wondering if people still use that telescope to look up at the stars, they sure do, especially on clear nights. Public Works isn't the only department that has a love of the past. Our Parks and Recreation Department also loves digging up history. Take a look at how this county's parks roof started as a collapsed dam. learn more about the history of local parks in San Diego County Parks over 100 years. Details are at sdparks.org. If you're in the South Bay, you've got to check out the Dairy Mart Loop in the Tijuana River Valley Regional Park. And if you're not, well, you can still trek the same trail, just virtually. Tijuana River Valley Regional Park has more than 22 miles of multi-use trails. You can learn more at sdparks.org. So which part of San Diego history are you going to go experience this month? Whatever you choose, have fun. We'll see you next time on County Connection.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for your County Connection.